Hello YouTube, I am Melee Man. You may or may not have heard of me, but I do a comic series called Fuck My Life for the Win, or FML-FTW. I spend a majority of my time doing the comic and working to better myself, but I've decided I would do a sort of talk show where I would talk about difficulties in life and current issues going on in the world today. I like to get philosophical, but I do not claim to be an expert in philosophy. I'm also a logical person, but I know I'm not always right. Today I'm going to talk about loneliness. I've remembered many times in my life where I was desperately lonely. When I was in middle school, I had trouble alleviating that loneliness, and it would consume my thoughts every day at school. Also, it didn't help that it seemed that nobody liked me, which I look back and realize that to some degree that isn't true. There were people who hurt me and consistently put me down on a regular basis. Some of them were teachers even. Even today, I still feel lonely sometimes. I miss people that I've met and don't have a chance to talk to them because of school and work. College really changed things drastically. There were times where I legitimately felt that I didn't want to continue life and that I would just end it because the pain I felt was unbearable. The more lonely I felt, the more desperate I became, and the more people avoided me, and the vicious cycle would rage on. Until eventually I wanted to kill myself. In the end, I was saved by someone I barely knew, and I haven't talked to in a long time. The easiest and best way to alleviate your loneliness is to find other people. I chose to see a therapist provided by my school instead, and it worked out okay, but I realized that she could only help me if I let her. What is loneliness, though? The first result on Google reads that loneliness is sadness because one has no friends or company, feelings of depression and loneliness. It's weird because even though we can be surrounded by people, we can be the most lonely, and we can become completely alone and isolated and be very happy. Even in relationships, people can feel alone, but why is that? First, we should recognize that loneliness is a feeling and is an internal problem, almost always coming from within you, and is not a result of external forces, although they can certainly contribute. If you have the internet, then you have the power to connect with anyone, anywhere. You really have no way to be alone unless you try really hard. So again, why do we feel alone? Another answer could be that we are alone in our minds. Using anecdotal evidence, I've been in philosophy club and we've argued over whether or not there was an external reality. I believe there was. Surely, since we can communicate, there are common ideas that everyone experiences at least once. I use the example of, everyone agrees that 1 + 1 is 2, and everyone knows that, everyone understands, but unfortunately it was easily refuted because he came back with, well, does the number 1 look the same in each person's mind? What font is it in? Is it in sans serif font? Is it in Times New Roman? Is it in Calibri? Well, of course not. Nobody has the same exact representation of a 1 in their mind. If that were to fall to its logical conclusion, though, it would mean that everyone is alone in their experience. We can never say we know someone completely, though, and our relationships at best are superficial. It also doesn't help that since we are always changing, that we could never be the same person we were 10 minutes ago. So if you're in a close relationship with someone, it's quite possible you are always in love with the idea of the person and never the person themselves. The problem with that, though, is that for that to be true, the person must first be. So at some point, a person is. When a person is has been debated for a long time in science, philosophy, and religion, mainly on the topic of abortion, where you would find that when a person is a person. Yet in spite of this, here we are trying to love each other, desperately clinging on to one another. Although not of us would like to admit, and I certainly don't, I want to be loved and love other people and have them understand me. But we can only achieve a superficial amount of understanding limited to our language. I can't comprehend someone knowing me as well as themselves. Even my once closest friend, I can't even figure out anymore. So here I've explained loneliness, but I haven't given you any tools to solve it. You must realize that your loneliness is a feeling and not reality. Reach out before it's too late, and reach out as needed to prevent it as well. Notice your self-depraving thoughts. Negativity will only cultivate your loneliness and make it worse, to the point of justifying suicide. If you have a habit of withdrawing from people, make it a habit to reach out. Do so regularly. It may feel like work to do so, but this could potentially save your life. Focus on the feelings of others. It's a challenge to do so when you feel alone, but sometimes when you do focus on others' problems and solve them, the people you call your friends may do the same. And it also distracts you from your loneliness and creates possible situations to alleviate that loneliness. Find others like you. It's not hard, believe it or not. Even if you have to use the internet, do so. Just do it. Do whatever you have to not feel alone. I mean, don't go about it like, don't let everyone know that you're desperate not to be alone, because that will drive people away from you, and then that will drive the vicious cycle of nobody wants me, I'm alone, I must accept my loneliness, therefore I must be a horrible person, and therefore maybe I'm not needed, so maybe I should kill myself. You don't want to get to that point. Although I know a lot of people have, and a lot of people have died and killed themselves. It's so sad when that happens, but that's life, I guess. Be curious. Don't expect perfection or applause. Each time you show up is an experiment, a micro-adventure in social bonding. If you are curious about and interested in others, they will be attracted to you because you're giving them attention, so you will get attention in return, usually. Curiosity about others also takes your focus away from those painful feelings that tend to make you hide and sulk. Kindness and generosity go a long way. There's a Chinese proverb that said, "Give and you will always have." It's the way relationships at all levels work. Whether you're in an intimate relationship or a budding friendship, just make sure you are with friends or lovers that reciprocate. These suggestions actually came from yourtango.com. I listed the best ones from the list, and I also added my suggestions along with it. With experience comes perspective, but even one's perspective can be flawed. I hope that somebody out there hears this and hopefully feels better about themselves. I would also encourage you, if you're feeling lonely, to do something about it. Don't sit there and let it consume you. If you seek a relationship, don't get in one because you feel lonely. It's quite dangerous to do so. This is also easier said than done. If you're already in one of those relationships, realize that you won't feel happy forever with this person. And if you use this person to alleviate your lonely feelings, don't leave them because you don't feel lonely anymore, or that they make you feel lonely. Yeah, have a legitimate reason to leave. If they're abusive, yeah, that's grounds to leave. If they disrespect you, let them know. You don't need to. There are many instances where you don't need to leave, but there are some instances where you do need to. Like, if you're in an abusive relationship, I should probably point out what makes it an abusive relationship, but I don't think this is the scope of this talk. So know if you're in an abusive relationship and get the frick out. Don't stay in that. But if you have a legitimate reason to leave, then leave. I won't judge anyone if they're leaving, because I don't know the situation and I don't really want to know. Sometimes I do if they're my close friend, but you can't really judge someone who leaves in a relationship. Also, the other option, and it's not always the easiest option, but don't even get in a relationship at all if you're not prepared to tend that kind of relationship. And the simplest advice that I can offer you is When in doubt, seek help. I hope this helps you in some way. I am Millie Man, and I hereby conclude loneliness. Until next time.